So we're doing a series about the COVID and the effect it has on the people in the field. And you are our first guest. So I would like to know regarding to your country and the field that you're working with or the organization, what was it like, of course, during the COVID? Could you please uh, give us some background about yourself and the organization you work for or with?
So my name is Ezzah Riaz. I am a doctor of physical therapy. So I did PT from a medical school here, and I am 26, and I am right now working as a community counselor at Dareecha Health Society. It's a long story, but there I am. And I had some experiences with community and stuff, and I was a candidate in an exchange semester to the US, and I studied psychology and stuff there, and I had few experiences here and there. That's why I'm working as a community counselor. I guess I found my niche or something. So that's me basically, and I've been working here since 2nd March of this year.
Do you remember what was life like before the COVID and what could you tell us about, please?
Uh, right now, it just seems like a dream, honestly, because this is the new normal. So, I mean, there were no gloves or masks for one, and there was no sense of social distancing and stuff here, especially. But here in Pakistan, but I think all over the world, people were very apprehensive about if it even existed or not, if the COVID was real or not. So uh, it was very hard to enforce these beliefs in people and all. And regarding to our organization, the Richa, we were very efficient and very fast. I think I was working here for 2 weeks before the lockdown happened, 2 or 4 weeks, something like that. So in that time, there was like no sense of any precautionary measures regarding COVID, and we took some for HIV/AIDS, obviously the gloves and regarding needles and stuff, but everything else was perfectly, I guess, pre-normal, and every nothing was locked down, so we had access to every area in our district and the nearby areas and suburbs and all. So that's all that I can remember, honestly.
Did you know when the effect took place of the COVID, how did people respond around you or how did you respond? Do you remember the feelings or the emotions when the COVID hit?
It was like a dystopian movie or something for me, especially because um, I have never seen a pandemic ever in my life. uh, Before this happened, I think most of us have not. So it was a completely different thing to be locked up in the house and not go out. And even in the house, I maintained a distance from my mother because she's old and she's hypertensive, and my sister's young. So it was very very hard because in the starting days we were working, we were coming here and we were working before the lockdown formally happened, and since we are health based NGO, so we were allowed to come if we wanted to come, but for the safety of everyone else we mostly work from home. And the feelings were just very very, it seemed unreal. I couldn't, like, my brain couldn't really register it because it was, I've never seen something like that, like against your will and for the greater good, getting cooped up in a house and there are no restaurants or malls or anything like that before, because before that I could meet my friends once or twice a week every day at a mall. That went away, and I haven't met my friends in since March. Honestly, I haven't met even one of my friends since March. So it was very isolating. and very emotionally exhausting too. But since I'm from a medical background, I just taught myself to hang in there, because it ended everywhere and things seem to get better in terms of lockdown and stuff. So that's what I told myself and told everyone else around me, to just hang in there for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and it will be fine, like it is now.
Do you know what the effect was for the community, for example, the people with HIV that you work with?
Yeah. So as you know, we basically work with mostly transgender community, but it encompasses LGBTQI as well. And we our project is mostly focused on transgender community here, because they are very very prejudiced, and like the whole environment, it's like the system is against them instead of with them. And most of them are not from a financially sound background. Most of them rely on weddings and functions to dance and to earn money and stuff, and some of them also beg. So their lives completely change, especially our community with HIV. Some of them went back to their hometowns, their villages and stuff, and we only have HIV/AIDS ART centers in the main cities and stuff. So it was very hard for them because there was no transport. So it was very hard for them to come back again and get their medication after the month was over. And it was very very hard for them to cope with that, because no money, no means. Some of them lost their houses because they had no money to rent. Some of them were had very few resources to eat. Some of them couldn't get medication because most of them haven't. Like, this is HIV/AIDS is a taboo all over the world, and especially with our conservative society and beliefs. So it is more of a taboo here as well. So they haven't had told at their houses and stuff. So generally, I think it was a very very hard time for them, like harder for them as compared to straight folks, I think.
If you say they were not with them but almost against them, did you feel it was more harsh with the COVID?
Exactly, because I I've heard people saying stuff like, very casually dismissing it as if their life and their livelihood don't matter, because we have predominantly Islamic beliefs here, right? And not even Islamic, even, but that's another debate. Basically, like, we most of the people here don't think music and dance is a good thing to do. Like, it's not moral or ethical, whatever you can call it. And then some people think it's a sin to beg, and it's a sin to do sex work. That's a huge deal here. Like, I'm sure you must have an idea that in Pakistan this stuff is looked down upon, and it is like tabooest of the taboo thing. Like, it is the right up there in the taboo part, and people were very casually dismissing that part. They were like, "Oh well, I think it's a good thing that they would earn like that. They'll find something new." Some halal means of earning and stuff. There is this whole notion of halal and haram, and they think it's they'll now this is some kind of blessing that has been bestowed upon the marginalized community, so that they find a halal work to do now. So that was this whole thing that was going on, and I'm sure you were as appalled as I was at that time.
Yes, of course. Was it possible for you and your staff to find a safe place during the COVID, or for the people that you work with in the community?
We tried our best to mobilize our resources as much as we could. We provided them medicine via some people which were present near the vicinity of their villages. we were working with some governmental and non-governmental organizations as well in the different cities as well. So we were trying to provide them as much as we can, especially in terms of medication, and then with the help of APCOM, and some of the donations came from like us as well, and there were a lot of people who gave us money as well. So like with the help of you guys and with the help of journal community, we were able to provide them food basically, and something to hold on to, because that was the major problem, that if we don't earn, what are we going to eat? So I think that's the basic need of everyone, and we were able to provide them with that, and I think that's a big deal, especially in this case. We were even mobilized during the lockdown days. We faced some issues as well, because here the armed forces were very strict about curfews and all. So we specifically requested our some of the governmental organizations to give us permission letter to serve in this whole thing as well, and we didn't allow all of our staff back as well, because some of them were from out of city. So we just, us like 3 4 people who were present and living here, they basically worked a lot to, we opened our offices, we had stuff in our office, we called up people, we used our contacts to help them come and sit here with us and talk to us and tell us if they have any issues and stuff. So that's how we worked.
Dr. Ezzah Riaz, as a counselor, what was your specific role during the COVID? Um, could you explain this a bit more to the audience?
Emotional support basically, because no one knew when it was going to end. A lot of people lost their jobs, a lot of people lost their livelihood, a lot of people lost their homes, a lot of people had to shift to uh, you know other places and all, and they weren't getting medication. They were scared to go to hospitals as well, because there were COVID centers being built up there. So they were very, very scared that what if we go there and we contract the virus from the hospital? What happens then? And some of them had no trust in hospitals and doctors at all. Like it happened, I think it was a global phenomena, that they thought that all the doctors are doing it for the money they're coming, the money is coming from somewhere, and all those conspiracy theories. And also my major role was to sit with them and hear their concerns, and then find the appropriate approach to uh, dissipate those concerns, and to give them a sense of hope, and provide them with some sense of certainty, some sense of clarity, so that they can go on, and so that they're able to trust our health workers again, and so that they know that this will be over soon. It's not the end of the world.
Did you get a good feedback from the people that you are helping out and trying to adjust during the COVID?
Yeah, we did. Especially with our ration drives, and especially with our basically, we opened our doors and we told them to come anytime, and we told them to come anytime, even if they just wanted to talk, they can come in. And obviously they told that to their friends, and we also told a lot of people to convey the message to them, and also they were very satisfied with all of that, and they keep telling us to do it more and all. So we try our best to do some kind of ration drive, food drive, some event to make them come here and talk to them, like a group counseling session. And we also provide them individual counseling as well, especially for PL HIV, because it was a very scary time for them, as they are PL HIV as well, and they were very, very scared that what if we got COVID, and they thought they had no chance to survive if they got that virus. And also our responsibility in that case, and what we delivered was to help them get out of that mindset, help them get out of that thing with like actual data, because some people, they just don't, you know, they just don't believe you when you just tell them. So I pulled out researches and some works and some, evidence and all, and I told them, look at that person, he had it, he got fine. Look at that person, he was fine. So I think this really helped them, and the feedback was great, because people are still coming in, and people come into our CBO like, like it's a routine thing to do. And before COVID, this wasn't happening as much as we would have liked it to happen.
For when we talk about HIV and people are not very close related to the topic, especially like in your country, could
Yeah.
you tell us a bit more about that community, how they are being viewed at, as in the community even before the COVID?
It started as there was this mass hysteria in the late 80s about it, that it happens due to homosexuality, basically. And some of our books still have that going on, even if our books don't have it, like the books that we teach to 14, 15-year-old kids. The teachers are very biased because that's what they've heard from the media, the old school media, and they think that it's basically something that you get as a result of sinning. So it's your, so you pay for your sins, you pay for being a part of LGBTQI, you pay for being a gay person, you pay for going against nature. You know, the old age arguments that it's against nature somehow. So that's what the journal society's perception is, and was before COVID, and that is what exactly we are fighting against.
With the COVID, I feel the fight is even harder because of the prejudice and the different circumstances. How has the COVID affected your work or organization for the future when it comes to approach and helping people?
So what we have learned from this is that just because a pandemic happens, it doesn't mean that, the other one will stop, the epidemic will stop. The epidemic carries on. And if our NGO had stopped working in those days, HIV/AIDS would have spread even more, because people were still trying to make ends meet, basically. People were still trying to work. People were still trying their best to get customers, to beg, to dance at a function, to do their work as they were doing before it, no matter how much on a smaller scale it became. So the whole purpose of our us working during the lockdown days was this: to not stop our service delivery, basically the distribution of BCC material and the awareness campaigns, and letting them come here with appropriate social distancing measures, and provide them with PPE. It was very expensive, and there was a shortage of it worldwide, and we couldn't get it, basically. But we tried our best to locally source it as much as we can, and we tried our best to get it here so that we can just, distribute it among them. And we also taught them how to make like face masks out of cloth. We also provide them with cloth face masks. I mean, they're not as effective, obviously, but they're better than doing bare mouth everywhere. And we also told them how to discard it. We also told them how to use a sanitizer, and what is better than that. So we did these campaigns here, and we did these campaigns in the Dareechas that we went to. Their living places as well. And no matter how many people were there, we told them how to sit, where to sit, and the proper protocols to follow. And we also had to their questions about it, the myths that were going on. and the controversies that were going on. And we tried our best to put their mind at ease, as well as providing them with regular HIV services as well, with ECC and file testing and everything that came with it.
Thank you. Is there a particular story that during the COVID touched you? Could be any story from one of your community members that made you sad or made you think.
There was this PLHIV client of ours. He, when this all happened, she went back to her village, right? And somehow she was feeling very lonely and isolated. Somehow it slipped her mind to like be careful. I mean, it's very sad that you have to hide your reality from everyone else, even your family. And somehow, like, they knew about it already or something. And they started brutalizing her, basically isolating her from everyone. She was going to pray in a mosque, and they told the head of the mosque, the imam, that she can't come here because she does the sex work, and because of the sex work she got HIV/AIDS. That's why she can't come there. She's Please forbid her to come there. And then when she was trying to donate some clothes, she called me and told me that uh, her own brother told the person that she was donating clothes to that this person, he's not, pure. The pure, he's not a good person. He does this, it's called no londa bazi in our very crass phrase. It's known as that this person is gay and he has sex with males, and this person is a transgender. uh, like they were using slangs with her, abuses in slangs, and they told everyone in their village, and it's a small town, so everyone knew. And she had to go to another town to pray. Like she couldn't even pray in her own house. She couldn't. They wouldn't let her hold her nephews and nieces as well. That made me think, because we do work with community, we do work with CLHIV folk, we do work with general LGBTQI, and we do work with the awareness of telling them that this disease is not a communicable illness like COVID. Like you can't get it with sitting from a person or eating in the same plate or like sharing clothes with a person. You can't get it like that. We tell them this, all of this, like we try to bust the myths about it, but we should do it. Like someone should start this initiative to start doing it to general folk as well. Because of this conservative environment, I like the COVID scene. I compared it with HIV/AIDS. With the COVID, there were infographics. It was everywhere on media, social media. There were timers. They made a special tab on Facebook for like monitoring how many cases were in your area and what was your country's ranking and everything. And you opened Google and 100 infographics came up automatically about awareness of this pandemic. But there are none regarding HIV/AIDS, and it is still growing. It is still going on, and we can uh, like aware our community, but who will aware the general masses? That was the biggest question that was in my mind. And I couldn't believe, although we do it all the time with our Facebook page and all, and we also like have straight folks come in as well sometimes, like to help them if they have any questions and everything like that. But it's not being done on a bigger scale like it should be, and that was something very 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 scary for me to think, because I put myself in that person's situation and I was thinking, what if I was at her place and what if it happened to me? Like, how brutal does that feel? So that was one thing that I thought of to mention here.
Do you think we learned any positive lessons at all from the COVID as a community or society or in your country?
The biggest of them all is to learn to be empathetic, learn to be very, very kind, learn to be mindful of others people's emotional space. Emotional well-being is also a taboo, and with this epidemic, I guess, because I always look from my house, I always see what my mother is thinking because she is 55 and above, and so she has those old school beliefs. So I always look at her to see what she has learned in terms of like how the people around us are learning in everything. And even she thought that depression and anxiety was prevalent. Even she thought that emotional support was very important in terms of COVID. And I think that's a huge positive thing to learn from it, because our older folks who never even used to believe in mental well-being, at least here in Pakistan, they were being kind and empathetic towards people who were badly getting affected from it. And we are generally a charitable nation, so the financial aspect matters a lot, obviously. And also, yeah, I'd like to mention that because of COVID and all, we have also started our research on how COVID impacted specifically transgender community over the period of these 6 7 months. So we are doing that as well side by side, because we have access to community and we can go take interviews from them, and they trust us as well to talk to us. So we are doing that as well. And this is the, I think, the first ever research that is being done with empirical evidence, and we will also try to find actual material solution to this whole thing.
What motivates you to do your work on a daily basis, may I ask, Dr. Ezzah?
Okay, so this might sound very I don't know, selfish or something, but it provides me a certain sense of relief, productivity. I don't know if it makes me sound super selfish or something, because I really like the sense of the feeling of happiness it provides me as well. Like, it's not about working only, it's not about like having a job and stuff. It's not about that at all, because that's why I completely steered away from my own profession and chose this, because I wanted to work with communities, especially in my country, and I wanted a specific channel to go through it, because, as you know, being from community is still a crime. Like, you can't live like that out in the open. So, like, having NGOs and having Dareecha by my side and helping them cope a tiny little part of this thing to to help community move forward, or in health basis, in HIV/AIDS thing. And we on paper we just do HIV/AIDS stuff, but actually we do a lot more than that too. So it was very appealing to me. It was very appealing to me that I can make a difference in someone's life. I can put their mind at ease. I can help them out of their misery. I can get them out of the pain. I can motivate them to live, and I can motivate them to choose a path that they think is good for them. So that is what it gives me, and that is what motivates me to keep on working.
Do you wish to add something else that you would like to say to the audience after the whole COVID pandemic that you think this is a message that I would like to share?
The message would be to, like, first of all, do not hoard resources in times of calamities like this. Please don't do it. Everyone around the world have done it. Everybody needs it as much as you. So you have to be very careful with that thing, because it happened here in Pakistan too. Masks weren't available, the prices skyrocketed in everything, and that is I think the worst thing that you can do in times of need, that you take away that need and hoard them in your house. And the second thing is to be like take care of your neighbors, take care of the community around you, take care of people, give them their due respect, because everyone deserves to live like they want to live, exactly like they want to live. It doesn't harm you, it doesn't it doesn't provide you any kind of physical discomfort. It doesn't, they are not taking anything away from you. Instead, they're giving you sound a very happy individual in your society. If they be themselves, if people for community can be themselves all over the world, they are making your world better. They are not taking anything away from you. They don't deserve this treatment from you as well.
I was very impressed by the interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for choosing me. I wasn't expecting this, honestly.
I think it might be good for people to see, I think, more from a human side, the
Sure.
histories behind the scenes, and just to know what is it really like to work in the field and to really help from very close people,
Yep.
because in so many stories and nobody knows what goes around in the world, especially now we're all isolated. So that's why we started this series, and I hope it will bring more insight to people to know what you and others are doing in the fields.
I would love to, because most of these things we can't even share in our home, because they don't think it's a big deal. They don't think it's shareable enough or something. So I think it's very, very great to have a platform like your newsletter letter and your organization to help propagate this idea and to help like create awareness in paper as well.
You're welcome. I wish you and the community the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye.
Bye.